I recently received a used book in the mail. I try to buy books used as much as possible. It not only saves me money, but it gives folks out there a little extra money, and I'm a big supporter. Good start here, Jade. I'm a good supporter of used books and used bookstores and community-owned bookstores. I'm fortunate I live in a part of the country where there are a lot of bookstores, and they're not big chains, and they are surviving, even in this economy. And I try to support them as much as possible. Support your local bookstore. But anyway, I received this used book in the mail, and with the book, there was a letter about the seller's, well, conversion to Christianity, or at least reconversion. Don't really know, just briefly looked at the letter, but that doesn't bother me. I mean, whenever people think they have the answer, they want to tell everyone. What did bother me was that he included a chick tract, and a particularly nasty one at that. Now, Jack Chick is infamous. Amongst other things, Jack Chick has an obsession with Catholicism, blaming the Catholic Church for just about everything. For example, according to Chick, the Catholic Church keeps the name of every Protestant church member in the world in a big computer in the Vatican for use in future persecutions. Also, apparently the Catholic Church invented Islam as a weapon to use against the Jews. But the conspiracy is much broader than this, and it has been going on for a very long time. In the 6th century, for instance, Catholic leaders manipulated the Arabian tribesman Muhammad into creating the religion of Islam to use as a weapon against the Jews and to conquer Jerusalem for the Pope. He also thinks the Jesuits, or the church through the Jesuits, started the Civil War in order to undermine the Union, and they were responsible for Lincoln's assassination. The Jesuits instigated the American Civil War, supporting the Confederate cause and seeking to undermine the Union. When they failed, they arranged the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Later, they formed the Ku Klux Klan. Also, the Vatican conspiracy is so extensive that through the Jesuits, Rome controls the Illuminati, the Council on Foreign Relations, international bankers, the Mafia, the Club of Rome, the Masons, and the New Age movement. I guess that's the entire New Age movement. The Vatican is also apparently responsible for communism. Now, a couple of times here I quoted from a site called www.catholic.com, which has extensive references, including to the Chick tracts themselves. Now, I don't just go by websites I look up. So I looked up all of the references on Catholic.com that I have used here, plus a number of others, because Jack Chick has most of his tracts online, so you can actually find this stuff. So I'll leave the link to www.catholic.com, but I'll also leave the links to the Chick tracts. Well, as I said, to this article on Catholic.com. Now, there was one thing that was not online, and it's a comic book called The Four Horsemen by Jack Chick. Well, I actually bought that thing, bought it used, to verify what was said at www.catholic.com, and they're right on. It's a disturbing comic, but then so is anything by Jack Chick. Jack Chick is also homophobic, anti-Mormon, misogynistic, racist, anti-Semitic, against evolution, and disbelieves in global warming, and basically against everything that isn't exactly what he believes. Why do I think this particular tract is so bad? Because it's aimed at children, and it's called The Warning. Now, Jack Chick is in his institution, I'm not sure. Jack Chick is kind of a recluse. There's like only 2 known photos of him, and they're very old. Interesting guy. But he has been known in the past to DMCA people. So I've decided to rework this track slightly, changing the words but keeping the meaning. And I'm also using visuals that I think are appropriate. But I will leave a link to the original so you can read it and see what I mean. Splash! How did that happen, Granddad? They avoided the warnings, boys. Damn dirty apes. We've been saying for years that giving them rights was a bad idea. When my papa was a boy, he nearly died because he ignored warnings. Let me show you what saved him. Razor wire? Was he in juvie, Granddad? Yep. He was wild, my papa. See, there was a dinosaur farm down at the juvenile camp. If the kids behaved, they got to work on the farm caring for the dinosaurs rather than being chained up in their cells. One day, some of the fellows decided to sneak out and go swimming. They knew it was wrong, but they knew they'd get a right good whipping if they got caught, but they went anyway. Papa got stuck on the razor wire, and the other boys laughed at him and ran on. He got himself unstuck just as they leapt in the water. Then the screams started, the horrible screaming that haunted him for the rest of his life. He saw lots of thrashing about in the water, but he couldn't tell what was happening. Then one of his buddies got his head above water and yelled, "Run, Hiram! It's a titanoboa!" Then he went under. Daddy watched as the giant snake crushed and swallowed his friends. Then he ran like the devil himself was after him. He got back to the camp and told them what had happened. He got a whooping all right, but they were able to hunt down the snake and kill it. Only lost one guard. So Daddy lost his friends, but saved other lives by being honest. He could have snuck back in, but he was scared straight. At the services for the boys, the preacher reminded them that about 6,000 years ago, the worst snake attack in the history took place. And the preacher reminded them that there had been warnings then too. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And you know what that woman done, grandson? She ate of that fruit, and she got Adam to eat of it too, because we know men have no willpower. And thus she condemned all humankind to sin and desolation. Now that was total rebellion against God's command. Sin covered the world, bringing forth sickness, wars, and death, sending billions of souls to hell, all because of Eve's lusting for the forbidden fruit. Why, it says in Revelation, But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. And in Romans it says, For all have sinned, and some come short of the glory of God. You know what Papa said? He said at that moment, he thought, I'm a liar, I lie all the time, oh, I can't go to heaven, I'm lost. Then the preacher went on to remind them that through Jesus there was salvation. Papa repented right then and there, letting Jesus into his heart. The preacher told him his sins were gone, and they had to go on and be a good Bible-thumping, believing Christian. Well, Papa became a preacher himself and brought a lot of souls to Jesus, whether they wanted to go or not. He treated sin like a snake and never compromised. When he died, people said that there was more like Jesus than anyone they'd ever known. Grandpa, the boy said, I'm a sinner and I want to get saved and be like your papa. Would you help me? My heart is really dirty. Okay, that's it. That's as far as I'm going. Also, I wasn't consistent in my voices all the way through because it's hard to do this. It's so ridiculous. There's only a little more, but I've had enough. Jack Chick's entire idea here is to terrorize children into thinking they're going to go to hell basically for being children. Sure, children can understand right and wrong, but it's a lot fuzzier for them, especially when it comes in, it involves things like cake and candy and climbing trees and that scary movie that you really want to watch. To make children think that they're going to go to hell for common childhood misbehaviors is despicable. But despicable pretty much sums up Jack Chick. He's like some dead, decaying monster hanging on by sheer venom alone. Sadly, there are people who believe what he says, take to heart his monstrous fables, his twisted revision of Christianity. Hopefully, like the dinosaur he is, his kind will eventually die out. Thanks for watching.
Chickery chick, chala chala, chackle-a-roll me, a banana, kabalaka, wallaka, can't you see? Chickery chick is me. Oh, chickery chick, chala chala, chackle-a-roll me, a banana, kabalaka, wallaka, can't you see? Chickery chick is me. your mouth and start to say, oh, Chickery Chick, chala chala, chackle-a-roll me, a banana, kabalaka wallaka, can't you see? Chickery Chick is me. Every time you're sick and tired of just the same old things, saying just the same